everyone, and welcome to the new segment of SAMRU's Tea and Talk. My name is Joseph Nguyen. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm your Vice President of Student Affairs. I represent you in all things non-academically related. And this is
Spirit Richardwolf, President of SAMRU.
SAMRU.
Of the Representation Executive Council.
Representation what?
Executive Council, yeah. So the Representation Executive Council is myself, as well as Joseph and the two other VPs. And we represent you to, as Joseph said, to internal affairs on things like recreation, residence, international students, career services, and things like that, as well as academic issues like in the classroom, course creation, program development, things like that. And then we also represent you on the external level to local, provincial, and federal governments and politicians and things like that. Yeah.
Perfect. Now the introductions are done, let's talk news. And over here it says Rachel Timmerman, our VP External, gave an opinion. What was that opinion about?
Yeah, so she was talking a little bit about how we share proof of our vaccination status. So we're never going to be able to escape, conversations around COVID. It's something that really impacts students, especially if we want to remain in person. But one key point I think students should really take away from this highlight is that SAMRU prioritizes and cares about your privacy. And so that's one thing that we've been wanting to remind the institution about that privacy. So what VP Timmermans talked about was that it would be preferable if MRU utilized the QR code that the provincial government created. And that this would limit the amount of private information that students are forced to share, because having to share your personal information to a bunch of third-party companies and organizations. So we want to make sure that we're prioritizing student privacy in that way.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, moving on down to the other highlights we have. We were talking about ED Student Affairs Chris Rogerson and Phil Rasaba and kind of your area of advocacy. And what I have here written is that you have been talking to career services about increasing the utility of career services and the understanding of career services for students. So I wonder if you can
I can elaborate. So I advocated to them. Actually, no, I'll move back. So first off, I noticed that from student conversations that there has been lots of misunderstanding of what career services does for us. When you're in your first year of university, or heck, even second or third year, and you enter university, you typically think, oh, career services, that's for something for later, something for my last year, something for when I graduate. I start my
career.
Right? Exactly, yeah. So, and that's just like right there. It's a fundamental flaw in the name itself that is a barrier, right? And people just like oversee that. They just overlook it. And they're like, oh my goodness, what career services, whatever. But
you've recognized that students are, not really understanding that, right? How they can actually start using career services right away.
Yeah, and this is a misinterpretation, right? And what career services actually does for students, for people like us, whether in your first year, your second year, or your last year, it does not matter. They can help you develop your something called career competencies for yourself. This is professional development. This includes any work integrated learning, and includes any part-time jobs that you would need. They have a job bank, a job board open.
Look at you learning all the lingo.
All the lingo, yeah. So they have a job board open for all students. So if you're a student, you have full access to it.
Yeah.
And they have great relationship partners with different organizations and companies. So that these organizations, these employers, this student's from MRU. Okay, I'm interested because I have a good relationship with MRU. Yeah. So if you are looking for a job, part-time or full-time, please consider looking at the job board. It's definitely underutilized and underwell known, just because of the advertising and the barriers that students have, like the name.
But Mr. Nguyen is working hard on that.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of barriers to overcome. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So I do have a question for you, Spirit. We recently recruited a bunch of student volunteers. I think we call them ambassadors. What does ambassadors mean? What are these students? What do they do?
So I'm in my second year as SAMRU Rec president. And one thing that I noticed was just some inefficiencies with the volunteers that work under the student representatives, so me and my team, in terms of how we get advice and how they can assist us with our student representation work. Because we can't sit on every committee and council that's demanded of the four of us, right? So we have to go and recruit student representatives to come and be promoters of our work. And so we revamped the student advisory committee that works under us, and we called them student ambassadors, who will now sit on the Representation Executives Advisory Committee. That's technically what our title is within the Student Association. We're executives for SAMRU, and we're representation executives. So we recruit them, we interview them, we see where they might best be placed, and then they go and take our positions and our lobbying opinions and promote that at these councils and committees. Because at the end of the day, we are the elected representatives of the student body, but we do need that help. We're not, supermen and superwomen. We need that extra help. But so one of the last things we want to talk about here is the Dating Domestic Sexual Violence, or DDSV, calls to action paper. That's really interesting. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So since 2018 or 2019, SAMRU Rec has been forming this paper. We've been working with stakeholders and community members of the institution to develop this paper. This paper is called Transforming Mount Royal University's Institutional Response to Dating, Domestic, and Sexual Violence on Campus. And what that means...
Long title.
Yeah, it's a long title, yeah. But what that means is, it's what a call to action is. It's a paper that has data, has lots of statistics, recent and current statistics that we have, in this case on DDSV. And what we do is that we're going to use this paper to advocate it to MRU, the leadership of MRU, just so that they're aware of the current situation of DDSV and the current statistics, and then in hopes of them reforming and changing the institutional processes and the policies that they have to help students with their DDSV issues. So what I guess last week on Wednesday we released this DDSV paper, and it is public now. It's on our website. And it's available to everyone, all members of the public. You can read it. It's visually appealing thanks to our comms team.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, it looks amazing. And it's very informative. It's very interesting.
Well, I think it also separates from some other things, right? Like around like your career services ask, where that's not simple, but it's about marketing, right? But when it comes to dating, domestic and sexual violence, I think it's such a complex issue that's so embedded into our culture that I'm just so proud of SAMRU, who's really taken a leadership in this area to do this thorough research, to show what Mount Royal has done and what Mount Royal needs to do better on.
For sure.
And not to call out Mount Royal, but to say, like, we need to work together and to make sure that our students feel safe here on campus. So, I'm really
call to action, not a call out.
Definitely.
So one of our rec members, her name's Yasmin Ahmed. She's our vice president academic. She has a goal. I believe she's working on it. Could you elaborate on that?
But Yasmin's goal is about essentially trying to make it so that students can know the cost of textbooks of the courses that they're selecting. So it's a little bit more transparency in that regard. She's doing a lot of great work in making sure that moves forward. So
that's awesome.
She's been meeting with key people in the institution, such as the registrar, as well as the academic programming and curriculum committee and other important administrators within the institution. And I think this is such an important thing because you don't know if like
Yeah.
the textbook is going to be like $20 because the prof wrote it themselves,
Yeah.
or if it's going to be like a $200
Yeah.
textbook.
It's basically
so.
the true cost of a class, right?
Yeah.
Not just your typical like
Yeah.
on your fees you see like $600, $800 a
Yeah.
class. Yeah.
Definitely. So we're rooting for Yasmin and hope that we can, see this through.
Yeah, that's
But,
awesome.
Yeah. But I think that's all we have for you today for TN Talk
Yeah.
News.
I did want to end off with a note that there are so many more advocacy asks that we've done. There are so many more opinions
Yeah.
that we've shared with executives. However, we can't. Well, one, we if we put all of them on this news segment, it would go on for hours.
True.
And two, we can't always disclose our advocacy asks because of we have to follow confidentiality agreements, right?
Yeah, I think that's really important because, this is a way for us to be able to really communicate to you some of the stuff that we've been doing. But at the same time, our jobs as advocates for students to Mount Royal and to government, it's very sensitive work, right? It involves relationships and we want to maintain the integrity of those relationships. So we've got to be careful with what we say publicly and what we kind of keep to ourselves, as long as that it is following the mission statement of SAMRU, which is that we serve and represent students to help them succeed.
Jinx, yeah. That's awesome. Okay, I guess that's the news segment for us, and thank you folks for watching and watching till the end. We appreciate it, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming to our TN Talk.
See you later.